Maya Johnson, a bright and determined 6-year-old black high school student with a passion for surprises and a heart full of gratitude, walked into the grand entrance of Elite Auto Gallery, one of the most prestigious luxury car dealerships in the city. Her simple school uniform, consisting of a faded white blouse and a knee-length navy skirt, fluttering slightly in the breeze as she pushed open the heavy glass doors, her worn-out sneakers making soft, almost apologetic sounds against the immaculate marble floor that reflected the overhead chandeliers like a mirror of opulence. The air inside was cool and scented with a mix of new leather and polished metal, a world away from her everyday life of textbooks, part-time shifts at the local library, and quiet family dinners in their modest home tucked away on a tree-lined street, where her father, Elias Johnson, had always emphasized the importance of humility despite his remarkable success as a pioneering figure in artificial intelligence ethics, building a billion-dollar company from scratch through sheer innovation and ethical practices that prioritized fairness in technology. Maya's curly hair was pulled back into a neat ponytail, bouncing lightly with each step, her dark eyes wide with excitement as she scanned the showroom filled with an array of gleaming vehicles that seemed to pulse with power and elegance, sleek Ferraris in fiery reds and deep blues, elegant Bentleys with their timeless curves, and powerful Lamborghinis that looked ready to roar into action at any moment, each one meticulously positioned under spotlights that highlighted every flawless detail, from the chrome accents to the supple interiors visible through tinted windows. She had been planning this for months, scrimping and saving every dollar from her after-school job, combining it with scholarship funds she had earned through her top grades in computer science and math, all to buy a Ferrari 488 Pista as an extraordinary birthday gift for her father, imagining the look of astonishment on his face when he unwrapped the keys, a rare indulgence for a man who preferred simple joys like family game nights or tinkering in his home workshop over flashy displays of wealth, always teaching her that true value came from character and kindness rather than material possessions. As she made her way deeper into the showroom, her gaze finally settled on the Ferrari 488 Pista, its vibrant red paint job catching the light like a ruby under the sun, the aerodynamic body lines flowing seamlessly from the aggressive front grille to the sculpted rear diffuser, promising speeds that could make the heart soar. And she couldn't help but smile softly, picturing her father behind the wheel on a quiet country road, the wind rushing by as he experienced a moment of pure freedom after years of dedicated work that had often kept him behind a desk, solving complex problems in AI that aimed to make the world more equitable. She reached out a hand, her fingers hovering just above the hood, feeling the cool metal without touching, lost in her thoughts of how this car represented not just luxury, but her deep appreciation for the man who had raised her single-handedly after her mother's passing, instilling in her values of perseverance, education, and empathy that had shaped her into the resilient young woman she was today. From his perch behind a sleek desk near the back, sales manager Victor Hayes spotted her almost immediately, his sharp eyes narrowing as he took in her appearance, the unassuming uniform, the lack of designer accessories, the youthful face that didn't scream inherited wealth, and the skin tone that, in his biased mind, didn't align with the typical clientele who frequented this high-end establishment where deals were sealed with handshakes over six-figure sums and clients arrived in chauffeured vehicles. Victor, a man in his mid-40s with an impeccably tailored suit that hugged his frame just right, a gold watch glinting on his wrist, and a perpetual air of superiority honed from years of catering to the elite, exchanged a subtle nod with his colleague Sarah Klein, a sharp-dressed woman in her 30s who handled paperwork with efficiency but shared his unspoken judgments, her eyes rolling slightly as she whispered something under her breath that made another salesperson chuckle quietly. Victor rose from his chair, smoothing his tie as he approached, his polished leather shoes echoing with authority across the vast space, determined to handle what he perceived as an intrusion before it disrupted the refined atmosphere, where serious buyers discussed custom options like carbon fiber interiors or performance upgrades over espresso served in fine china. "Excuse me, young lady," he said, his voice dripping with false politeness that barely masked the condescension, his eyes scanning her from head to toe in a way that made her feel exposed, like she was on display rather than a potential customer. Is there something specific you're looking for, or perhaps you've wandered into the wrong spot? We specialize in premium vehicles here. Maya turned to face him, her smile unwavering despite the knot forming in her stomach, sensing the underlying dismissal but refusing to let it deter her. Actually, sir, I'm very interested in the Ferrari 488 Pista over there. I've done some research, and I'd like to know more about its engine specs, the 3.9-liter twin-turbo V8. Right? Around 710 horsepower? And any available customizations for the interior, like leather options or tech integrations. Also, what's the timeline for delivery if I decide to proceed? Her knowledge was evident, pulled from countless hours poring over automotive sites and forums, but Victor's response was a low chuckle that drew curious glances from nearby customers, a couple in designer attire browsing a Bentley, an older gentleman eyeing a Porsche who paused their conversations to observe the unfolding scene, some with amused smirks, others with mild discomfort. Victor's laughter grew, echoing slightly in the open space as he shook his head, his smirk widening into something patronizing. Well, aren't you informed? But let's be realistic, this isn't just any car. It's a $500,000 machine designed for those who appreciate the finer things. Not sure it's in your range. Maybe check out something more practical, like a compact from the lot down the road. The words hung in the air, laced with implication, and Sarah, from behind the counter, added with a snicker, "Yeah, they have great deals on family sedans, perfect for school runs." Customers murmured, a few joining in the light laughter, turning the showroom into an unwelcome stage where Maya felt the spotlight of judgment burning hot on her skin, her cheeks flushing with a mix of embarrassment and rising anger. But she held her composure, remembering her father's lessons on responding to ignorance with grace. "I appreciate the suggestion, but I'm serious about this Ferrari. Could we discuss payment options or schedule a test drive? I've saved for this, and it's for a special occasion." Victor's face hardened, his patience feigning thin as he gestured toward the exit. "Listen, miss, we don't have time for games. Our clients are here to buy, not daydream. It's best if you head out before this gets awkward." The dismissal was final, his arm extended like a barrier, and the room's atmosphere thickened with unspoken agreement from onlookers, some nodding subtly, reinforcing the invisible walls of exclusion that Maya had bumped against all too often in subtle ways throughout her life, but never so blatantly. Tears threatened as she turned, her steps measured to maintain dignity, the doors sliding open to release her into the fresh air where she could finally breathe. Climbing into her reliable but unremarkable hatchback, parked humbly among the luxury sedans outside. Gripping the steering wheel as sobs escaped, the weight of the humiliation crashing down. How dare they assume her worth based on a glance, ignoring her words and intent. The drive home was a blur of traffic and self-doubt, but as she pulled into the driveway of their warm family home, a place filled with books, laughter, and the aroma of home-cooked meals, she resolved not to let it break her. Inside, Elias Johnson looked up from his laptop, his kind eyes immediately sensing distress. "Maya, what's wrong?" he asked, pulling her into a hug as she poured out the story, the mocking tones, the laughter, the outright rejection. Elias's expression shifted from concern to quiet resolve, his mind already formulating a response that would teach without destroying, empower without vengeance. "You've done nothing wrong, my dear. Their loss is our opportunity to show what true class looks like." As night fell, Elias made calls, arranging details for the next day, while Maya found solace in her room, sketching designs for future tech projects, her spirit unbroken, knowing her father's support would turn this setback into a powerful statement. 10,256 characters. The morning sun rose high over the city skyline, casting long shadows across the polished facade of Elite Auto Gallery, where the luxury vehicles inside seemed to bask in their own reflected glory, their chrome details sparkling like diamonds under the showroom lights. But for Victor Hayes, the day started with the usual routine of reviewing sales logs and barking orders at junior staff, his mind still lingering on the previous day's minor amusement. The young girl he'd swiftly dismissed, a story he retold with exaggerated flair to Sarah Klein over their morning coffee break, both laughing at how out of place she had seemed amid the high-end machinery that catered to the elite, unaware that the echoes of that laughter would soon be drowned out by the rumble of something far more formidable approaching from the horizon. Outside, the deep, resonant hum of a Maybach S-Class engine grew louder. The sleek black sedan gliding to a halt directly in front of the entrance with an air of undeniable authority, its tinted windows concealing the occupant, while the custom rims and flawless paint jobs screamed bespoke luxury that even Victor recognized as belonging to someone of significant means, prompting him to set down his mug and straighten his posture, signaling Sarah to follow, as they hurried out to greet what he assumed was a high roller, ready to drop serious cash on one of their premium models. The door opened slowly, and out stepped Elias Johnson, a towering figure in a tailored charcoal suit that fit his athletic build perfectly, his salt and pepper hair neatly cropped, and his dark eyes sharp with a quiet intensity that immediately set Victor on edge. Though he plastered on his most ingratiating smile, extending a hand with practiced enthusiasm. "Welcome to Elite Auto Gallery, sir. I'm Victor Hayes, sales manager. What brings you to our humble establishment today? Perhaps you're in the market for something exotic?" Elias regarded the outstretched hand for a moment before ignoring it, his voice calm but laced with an undercurrent of steel as he replied, "I'm here regarding an inquiry made yesterday about the Ferrari 488 Pista, the one my daughter, Maya Johnson, was interested in." Victor's smile froze, a flicker of confusion crossing his face as he processed the words, but Sarah's subtle gasp behind him hinted at the dawning realization, her eyes widening as Elias continued, the inquiry where she was mocked, belittled, and escorted out like she didn't belong, all because of assumptions about her appearance. The color drained from Victor's cheeks, his mind racing back to the uniform-clad girl he'd so casually humiliated, never imagining she was connected to someone like this. A man whose presence now commanded the space, drawing curious stares from passers-by and staff peering through the glass doors. Elias's gaze shifted to the showroom interior, where a few early customers milled about, oblivious to the unfolding drama, before he turned back to Victor with a measured tone. "You judged her on sight, her clothes, her age, her skin, and dismissed her dreams as delusions. Now, you'll understand the error of that judgment," Victor stammered, his usual confidence crumbling under the weight of Elias's unflinching stare. "Sir, I had no idea she was your daughter. It was a misunderstanding. We get all sorts here, and sometimes—" But Elias cut him off with a raised hand, his expression unchanging. "Misunderstanding? No, it was prejudice, plain and simple. Call your owner Harlan Reed. This conversation involves him too." Inside, as Victor hurried to the phone, the staff buzzed with whispers, phones discreetly pulled out to search Elias's name, gasps rippling through, as results confirmed his status, a billionaire innovator whose AI firm revolutionized ethical data processing, featured in Forbes for his philanthropy and low-key lifestyle, a man who could buy the entire dealership on a whim if he chose. Harlan emerged from his office, a portly man in his 50s with a rumpled shirt and a forced smile, wiping sweat from his brow as he approached. "Mr. Johnson, what an honor! How can we make this right?" Elias stepped inside, the doors closing behind him with a soft whoosh, his presence filling the room as customers paused to watch. "You can start by acknowledging the harm done. My daughter came here with genuine intent, savings in hand, and left in tears because of your team's biases. Effective immediately, you and Victor will volunteer at my foundation for 2 weeks, serving youth who faced similar dismissals, learning what real struggle looks like." Harlan blanched, exchanging a panicked glance with Victor, who protested weakly, Volunteer! But sir, we're in sales, not charity work. Surely there's another way, perhaps a discount on the Ferrari? Elias shook his head, his voice firm. This isn't negotiable. My company's fleet renewal is up for bid. Comply, and you might earn a piece. Refuse, and word spreads your reputation for exclusion won't help sales. The ultimatum hung heavy, Harlan nodding reluctantly. We'll do it. Anything to rectify this. Victor, seething internally but cornered, agreed through gritted teeth, the showroom's luxury suddenly feeling like a cage as Elias departed, leaving them to contemplate the shift from power brokers to humbled servants. At the Johnson Foundation, a bustling community center in the heart of the city's underserved neighborhoods, with colorful murals on the walls depicting dreams and diversity, and rooms filled with laughter from children engaging in after-school programs, art classes, and mentorship sessions. Victor and Harlan arrived in their business attire, looking comically out of place amid the casual vibe of jeans-clad volunteers and energetic kids running through hallways lined with motivational posters about perseverance and equality. Director Lena Brooks, a warm but no-nonsense woman in her 40s with a clipboard in hand and a welcoming smile, greeted them at the door. "Mr. Hayes, Mr. Reed, welcome. Mr. Johnson briefed me. Today, you'll help with tutoring and meal prep. No special treatment. Everyone pitches in." Victor rolled his eyes subtly, muttering to Harlan as they followed her inside. "This is absurd, wasting our time with kids when we could be closing deals." Harlan shushed him, already sensing the gravity, as they entered a classroom where a group of preteens worked on math problems, their faces lighting up with curiosity at the newcomers. Lena assigned Victor to assist with algebra, handing him a stack of worksheets, while Harlan headed to the kitchen to chop vegetables for lunch. Victor sat awkwardly at a table with Jamal, a 10-year-old with a mischievous grin and a faded t-shirt, who eyed him suspiciously. "You don't look like you want to be here," Jamal said bluntly, pushing a problem toward him. Victor sighed. "Kid, you have no idea." But as he explained equations, Jamal's quick grasp surprised him. The boy solved them faster than expected, sharing how he dreamed of becoming an engineer despite living in a cramped apartment with his grandmother. "Math's my escape," Jamal confided. "Helps me forget the bullies who say I can't cause of where I'm from." Victor paused, the words hitting closer than anticipated, reminding him vaguely of his own youth in a middle-class suburb where he'd clawed his way up, but without the added layers of societal barriers Jamal faced daily. As the day wore on, Victor's resistance cracked during a group activity, a storytelling circle where kids shared experiences of feeling invisible at stores or schools, their voices raw with emotion that painted vivid pictures of microaggressions and dreams deferred. One girl recounting being followed by security at a mall simply for browsing, her eyes welling up as she spoke of the hurt. Harlan, in the kitchen, bonded over slicing carrots with a teen volunteer who aspired to culinary school but struggled with tuition, his stories of overcoming dyslexia inspiring Harlan to share his own early business failures, forging an unexpected connection that made the mundane task feel meaningful. Tensions arose when Victor snapped at a spilled juice incident. "Watch it. This suit costs more than your weekly budget," only for Lena to pull him aside. "That's the attitude that got you here. These kids deserve respect, not reminders of inequality." Chastened, Victor returned, apologizing to the group, his voice halting as Jamal patted his back. "It's okay, mister. We all mess up." The simple forgiveness stirred something in Victor, a flicker of shame mixed with curiosity about these resilient young lives. Harlan confided later, as they left exhausted, "This place, it's real. Makes our showroom feel shallow." Over the following days, interactions deepened. Victor tutored Jamal in advanced problems, learning of the boy's absent parents and his grandmother's health struggles, prompting him to anonymously donate supplies. Harlan organized a mock business workshop, teaching budgeting basics while absorbing tales of community strength. Elias visited midway, observing from afar, nodding approval at the subtle shifts, Victor's forced smiles turning genuine, Harlan's enthusiasm growing. "This is about seeing humanity," Elias said during a brief chat. "Not punishment." Victor nodded, the Foundation's raw energy awakening dormant empathy, challenging his worldview as prejudices peeled away layer by layer, setting foundations for introspection that would redefine his path forward. 10,478 characters, following the partial fulfillment of Elias Johnson's Fleet Order, which served as both a carrot and a stick to encourage ongoing reforms at Elite Auto Gallery. Harlan Reed wasted no time in implementing sweeping changes that went beyond mere policy tweaks, transforming the dealership into a model of inclusivity where every staff member underwent mandatory quarterly workshops on cultural sensitivity and unconscious bias, facilitated by experts from diverse backgrounds who shared real-life scenarios drawn from various industries, ensuring that the lessons were not abstract lectures, but interactive simulations that forced participants to confront their assumptions in role-playing exercises, such as pretending to be a customer from a marginalized group facing subtle dismissals, which often left even the most skeptical employees reflecting deeply on their behaviors. Victor Hayes, now fully committed to his personal evolution, took the lead in these sessions, volunteering anecdotes from his time at the Foundation to illustrate how small acts of judgment could cascade into profound harm, his once arrogant demeanor replaced by a genuine humility that resonated with his colleagues, inspiring a ripple effect where salespeople like Sarah Klein, who had initially joined in the mockery of Maya, began organizing team-building outings to community events, fostering bonds that extended beyond the showroom floor and into volunteer drives at local shelters, where they distributed care packages and listened to stories that mirrored the resilience they had witnessed in kids like Jamal. The dealership's reputation, initially tarnished by whispers of the incident that spread through online forums and local business networks, began to rebound as positive reviews flooded in from a broader clientele, families from varied socioeconomic backgrounds who praised the welcoming atmosphere, noting how staff went out of their way to explain features without presumption, leading to a surprising uptick in sales from first-time luxury buyers who felt seen and valued for the first time in such an environment. Elias, monitoring these developments through discreet updates from Lena Brooks at the Foundation, decided to host a low-key roundtable discussion at his company headquarters, inviting Harlan, Victor, and a select group of Foundation beneficiaries, including Jamal, to share insights on bridging economic divides, turning what could have been a punitive aftermath into a collaborative platform where ideas flowed freely, such as proposing joint scholarships for underprivileged youth interested in automotive design, funded partially by the dealership's profits, as a form of restitution that not only mended fences, but also created lasting educational opportunities. Victor's quest for redemption culminated in a pivotal meeting he arranged with Maya at a neutral park bench overlooking a serene lake, where the gentle lapping of water against the shore provided a calming backdrop to what he knew would be an emotionally charged conversation. Arriving early with a simple bouquet of wildflowers picked from the Foundation's garden as a symbolic gesture of growth from humble roots, his hands trembling slightly as he waited, rehearsing words that had kept him awake for nights. When Maya arrived, her posture confident yet guarded, dressed in casual jeans and a hoodie that reflected her unpretentious style, Victor stood to greet her, his voice steady but laced with vulnerability as he began, "Maya, thank you for meeting me. I needed to say this in person. What I did to you was inexcusable, rooted in ignorance and bias that blinded me to your worth as a person, not just a potential sale." Maya listened intently, her eyes searching his for authenticity, and as he delved deeper, recounting how interactions with Jamal had shattered his preconceptions, describing a specific moment when the boy shared a drawing of his dream car, a humble sketch that reminded Victor of his own forgotten childhood aspirations before ambition hardened him. She saw the sincerity, her initial wariness softening into a thoughtful nod. "Words are a start," she replied, her tone measured. "But actions define forgiveness. How do you plan to ensure no one else faces what I did?" Victor outlined his initiatives. Personally mentoring new hires on inclusive practices, partnering with schools for career days focused on diversity in automotive fields, and even starting a blog where he chronicled his journey from prejudice to allyship, anonymizing stories to protect privacy, but sharing raw insights that garnered thousands of views and sparked online discussions among industry professionals. Maya, impressed by the depth, extended her hand in forgiveness. "I accept your apology. Let's turn this into something positive, perhaps collaborate on a foundation event." Their agreement marked a turning point, evolving into joint efforts like a youth innovation fair, where kids presented tech automotive hybrids, blending Elias's AI expertise with dealership resources, drawing crowds and media attention that highlighted redemption over scandal. As months turned into years, the legacy of that fateful day expanded exponentially. Elite Auto Gallery became a certified inclusive business, earning awards from chambers of commerce for its diversity programs, which included hiring quotas for underrepresented groups and customer feedback systems that prioritized equity, resulting in a 25% increase in clientele from minority-owned businesses who felt genuinely welcomed. Their stories featured in promotional materials that shifted the brand from exclusive to approachable. Victor, now promoted to Director of Community Relations, a role he created to institutionalize change, traveled to conferences. Speaking on panels about transforming corporate cultures, his talks often including video testimonials from Jamal, who had grown into a talented teen interning at Elias's company, designing ethical algorithms inspired by his mentor's turnaround. Harlan, reflecting on the financial hit from the partial order, viewed it as a worthwhile investment, channeling savings into a dealership foundation that matched employee donations to causes like youth education, fostering a sense of purpose among staff that reduced turnover and boosted morale. Elias and Maya, meanwhile, used the experience to launch a national campaign via his company Tech for All, advocating for bias-free AI in hiring and services, with Maya as a youth ambassador sharing her story in schools and TED-style talks, empowering peers to challenge stereotypes through personal narratives and advocacy tools like apps for reporting discrimination. Jamal's trajectory soared. With scholarships from the dealership, he pursued engineering at a top university, crediting Victor's guidance for his confidence, their bond evolving into a lifelong friendship marked by annual reunions where they reflected on how one biased encounter sparked chains of positive change, from individual growth to systemic shifts. In quieter moments, Victor visited the foundation alone, sitting in the art room where kids created visions of future worlds free from judgment, their creativity reminding him of the fragility of assumptions and the strength in second chances. His once empty life now filled with purpose through mentoring programs, he expanded to include life skills like financial literacy and emotional intelligence, helping hundreds navigate challenges he once ignored. Harlan's dealership hosted open houses for community groups, demystifying luxury while promoting accessibility, turning former symbols of exclusion into hubs for aspiration. Elias, ever the visionary, integrated lessons into his firm's training, ensuring employees embodied the values he taught Maya, while she, now in college studying social entrepreneurship, founded a startup connecting underrepresented talent with opportunities in tech and auto industries, her platform amplifying voices like Jamal's to inspire global audiences. The interconnected web of transformations, personal, professional, and societal, proved that redemption wasn't a singular event but a continuous journey, with each act of kindness building on the last, creating a legacy where empathy triumphed over division. And one girl's quiet stand against bias ignited a movement that touched lives far beyond the showroom's gleaming lights.